Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. In last lecture, we were discussing the board of directors. In that lecture, we have covered the importance of board, the board role, what the role board will play, like entrepreneurial leadership, strategic objectives of the company, arranging the resources to achieve the strategic objectives, review of management performance, company's value and standards, acting as a bridge between the stakeholders. And then we have discussed different type of ineffective boards, yes man boards, rubber stamp board, old guys board, country club boards, trophy boards or paper board, among others. And then we were discussing power of the boards, from where, from which sources the boards normally get powers, like company article of association, company law, resolution passed by the shareholders, and some industrial practices. After that, we have discussed three functions of the board: oversight function, directional function, and advisory function. And after that, we have discussed the tool available to the board, composition of the board, independence of the board, committees, external help where necessary, government intervention. And then we have discussed responsibilities of the board, individual and collective responsibility of the board. And then the last topic we have discussed was the types of the boards, types with respect to composition and types with respect to tenure. So unitary board and two-tier board, common tenure and staggered. So that was all from the last lecture. Today we are going to discuss the board, balance on the board. So in balance on the board, we will see the four type of balance in the board that is much necessary that one board should have, like balance of representation. There must be a balance in representation. There must be a balance in talent and abilities of the board members, and similarly there should be a balance of power and balance of attitude. Balance is really important, that if there will be no balance in the board is not going to perform efficiently and effectively and in the best interest of the all stakeholders. So that is why we are going to discuss all these individual separately. So for instance, balance of representation. So what is the balance of representation? Proper representation of all stakeholder is required in a board. So normally in developing country there are controlling shareholders, and there are set stage managing annual general meeting, such as in Pakistan. In that situation, it will really be difficult to have a balance of representation. Unfortunately, previously there was no rule by SECP, Security and Exchange Commission of Pakistan, and Pakistan Corporate Code of Corporate Governance. There was no such restrictions to keep balance of representation. But and obviously it's contrary to the spirit of the good corporate governance. If you don't have a balance of representation in the board is not going to perform efficiently and effectively and in the best interest of all stakeholders. So luckily, new code of corporate governance addresses this issue, and it has been guided in the code of corporate governance that you must have a balance of representation of from all part of stakeholders. So after that, it has been discussed as previously that balance of talent and abilities is one of the most other important factor that a board should have. So there should be a blend of all necessary talents from all area of specialization. A director should have some experience, some expertise, like technical expertise to lead the company. These technical expertise may include, but not limited to, the managerial, the legal, the financial, the operational, and marketing talents. So, among others, these are the talents that directors should have. There should be a director from managerial expertise, there should be a director from legal, financial, operational, and marketing. If from all specialization there will be a director in the board, then there will be a balance of talent. And obviously, directors need skills to evaluate the proposals received from the management. If a directors are not having, if these directors are not having these skills, how they will be able to evaluate a proposal and take a decision? So therefore, such all talents should be in the board members, and then they will be able to take a decision. So desire of controlling shareholder is always opposite to this. They always prefer to have no opposition. However, to keep a balance on the board, these talents should be in the board of directors, and there should be a balance among these talents. After the balance of talent, there should be a balance of power as well. A good number of independent non-executive director can create a balance of power among the board's member. Needs sufficient power to turn over a proposal. If there are no good number of independent executive director are going to bring a proposal which may be against the interest of all stakeholders. Surely it is going to be in the interest of a part of stakeholders, like maybe it will be in the interest of majority shareholder, maybe it will be interest of a family, maybe it will be interest of a specific director group, but obviously it's not going to be in the interest of all stakeholders. To safeguard the interest of all stakeholders, independent non-executive directors are most important. But before going further ahead, we need to clarify and understand the executive director and non-executive director. As we know, the executive directors are the full-time employee of the company and they deal with the day-to-day activities. However, non-executive directors are not a regular employee, not participate in day-to-day activities. They only visit company in the meetings and then they will give their feedback and will take the decisions for the company, specifically in strategic decisions. However, NEDs, non-executive directors, may be representative non-executive director or independent non-executive director. So we need to understand the difference between RNEDs and INEDs. RNEDs are the representative, mean they are not regular director, they are in non-executive director, but they are representing some stakeholders. Say for example, they are coming from government, they are coming from a block ownership, they are coming from a bank who actually lend financing to the company. So in this case, you can see that representative non-executive director are again a kind of executive director who are supposed to protect the interest of some specific member, some specific group. So therefore, they are not going to independent again. The actual independent non-executive director are INEDs, and INEDs may serve in the best interest of all stakeholders. Unfortunately, again, INDs are missing from the board, specifically in developing countries. However, that is something a board should have to create a balance among the directors. Lastly, it's the balance of attitude and views. Therefore, a board must have the diversity of views at the board, wide range of social, moral, and managerial attitude. If no courage to stand up to the chairman, it become a rubber stamp board. So actually, there should be some directors who have the courage to stand up and to fight for the right of all stakeholders. Therefore, a good board need a balance. Uh, in current setup in developing countries where there is a block shareholder, where there is a concentrated ownership, election of directors are in hand of one stakeholders who are basically shareholders, and again in shareholders there is a family shareholding pattern. A balance of attitude on board remain a dream. So let's hope for the best as things will goes better and there will be balance in board. But till there is no balance of board, there are consequences of imbalance board. For instance, board can be misguided by the executives. If there is not a balance, directors cannot speak in the front of executives because they know that we are going to be elected by these executives in this setup of managed AGMs in countries, in developing countries. Then they are going to be misguided and they are going to be rubber stamp directors. Uh, Similarly, interest of only one stakeholder is served. If there is no balance, then executives are going to guide, or you can say misguide, other directors, and they are going to try to serve the interest of one stakeholder who are shareholder actually. And poor decision making, of course, then decision making will be poor if directors will not fight for the right of all stakeholders. Status quo mentality is going to prevail again, and there will be a lack of communication. So these are the consequences of imbalance board. We are going to discuss it further. There will be some guidelines from Cadbury report, and then we will discuss the role of CEO and chairman in next lecture. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.